This is a special bolt too. This is what's holding the top of that metal plate in for that front end. See if that makes any difference. Can you see the torque? Can you see the shoulder? Can you see the shoulder on that? I'll talk about this car later. We'll say it about the special bolts and that plate that goes in there. They fit in that hole. That plate goes and bolts into that, which holds that on in top. And behind that rubber nose cone is this. It's a piece of styrofoam. Best thing to do once you get it off of there is to set it aside somewhere so you don't tear it up. And before you put your nose cone back on, take some tape and tape it on there so you don't tear it up. It's what helps support the whole thing. Sometimes you just never know. Sometimes you just never know what treasures you're going to find in a car that's never been taken apart before. So underneath all of that plastic I just took apart was this. So apparently when the car was new, the motor, this car was actually made in Japan and then shipped here. This was on the engine to remind the technician that, hey, there's no oil in here. Please put oil in it before it started. Or when it came to the dealership. I don't know. And so whatever technician threw it in such a place that it ended up, I'll show you. It ended up sitting right there. It's been sitting right there since 1992, which is what year model this car is. I had the light on earlier, but this is where that oil piece was sitting, inside the fender well there. So it's like, I don't know how they got it in there from that hole. I don't know, but that's where it was sitting. Why, you're wondering, am I going to all the trouble to taking the front end off of that car? Well, because I'm wanting to do something very special with that motor instead of fight with it the whole time. When I disconnect the air conditioning compressor from these 4 holes, it's going to be very long bolts that come out. You can get them out that way and leave the lines and stuff hooked up. Well, there's bolts here, 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 and here that hold this bracket onto the block. Well, this angled motor mount, it's not a motor mount, it's a torque arm. There's one on each side. So I found it best, because I don't think I can unscrew the nut here and then pull this off and then have clearance to lift the motor straight up. I had found it best over the years that once you get it stripped down that far, to just go ahead and take the bracket off the motor. So a 3/8 ratchet goes in that drain plug. So you see I'm catching it in a plastic bucket, and that's where it's draining out of. I'm doing that so that when I take the drive shaft out and I get ready to pull the motor and transmission, it doesn't drain all over my carport floor. In fact, now would be a good time for me to put in what oil actually goes into that transmission. I'm going to go look it up in a book right now. Hey, look. Deer. I mean, goats. I've been told that I didn't know what I was talking about. But there it is in the book. SAE 10W30 or 10W40 SF or SG grade. I could be wrong, but I think that's engine oil. I don't know. I'll check again. I've put 10W30 engine oil in it ever since I've had it. Yeah, the love bugs are out and about. So anyway, I'll put my used oil and engine oil in a 5-gallon bucket, and I'll bring that to O'Reilly's, and they'll be more than glad to pour it in their bin. So this is the special tool I took. It's basically an air conditioning bolt, since I have several of them, that I ground the threads off, because it fits in that hole perfectly, and it's a 12mm. So I'll take a 12mm socket and put on there and tape it up and put some long extensions on there. I'll put an adapter on it and run some heavier extensions up, and then I'll literally have to drive that pin out with a hammer. So basically I made a long punch that'll center up on it, that'll work, since I don't have the right kind of punch to fit that. So it kind of self-centers and drives it out. So it's going to be interesting to see how long this takes me to get this pin out. I've already put some WD-40 on it, some penetrating oil, and we'll see how that works. Well, I'm surprised. That didn't take any time. Now the question is going to be, can I find it down there? I know it came out because I heard it hit the ground. So I've got plenty of cardboard underneath there. I'll just have to dig around till I find it. And there it is. Fortunately, I'm not usually that lucky. That thing fell between an opening in the cardboard box. It's too bad you can't see what that is. But you can't really see the zigzag pattern on it for the split. Yeah, I guess that's coming in. So as you can see, it's not a roll pin, it's got teeth in it, and I was very lucky this time that I hit it several times correctly the first few strokes, and it just drove straight out with my homemade tool. So that was nice. It's getting close to quitting time for me because I am literally exhausted. And that's a good sign right there. I'm sorry, I get confused sometimes. Now that's a real deer. And I guess that's a real deer too. And I guess that would classify as a deer. And there's a story behind those walls, and that wall there, and that's a head along with the other heads in here. So that's what a cylinder head looks like when it drops a valve on a motor. Yeah. Deer head.